Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I hope everybody is doing well this weekend. I am currently going through right now and going to be going over the markets. I hope everybody had a good weekend and it was fun for all. Everybody was safe. I know COVID is on the rise, so you guys be careful out there again. Be safe. Make sure you guys are drinking a cup of ginger water every single day. That's how I kind of start my day off. So I want to encourage everybody to do the same thing themselves. Just because ginger is so good for the body and fortifies your body so well. So little tidbit of information I picked up from somebody who was many years and strong and healthy, and they gave me that tad bit of advice, and I was like, that's good. So thought I'd pick it up. So now let's go into just basic news about the market. We actually kind of had a bit of news coming up this weekend. Actually, I will share my screen because typically, and I'll just show you guys what I do in case you guys want to get it as well on your own personal news and how to kind of see what's going on in the wild world of crypto. And one last quick thing here. Let's go do this real quick before we get moving. This disclaimer: no investment advice. The information provided on this video and website and live stream does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and should not treat any other videos, websites, content as such. I, Moonshine Capital, and Moonrock Coin guests do not recommend that any cryptocurrency. Do not recommend that any cryptocurrency or any other assets that are mentioned should be bought, sold, or held by the viewer or listener. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I am not a financial advisor, and the content is only meant for entertainment purposes. Please consult a tax professional on any gains or losses as a result of investing into crypto or any assets invested in. This is not financial advice, but it is only for entertainment and social educational purposes only. Excellent. So let's go and real quick just do, some of the things. So what I do is I'll go through, and there's a few podcasts that I'll listen to. And one is called the DeFi Daily. If you go to Google, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I want to bring you guys in real quick to my podcast listening stuff here. Actually, I don't think we can do it here. Real quick. Oh, there it is. Here we are. So can you guys hear me? Here we go. So here we are. Boom. All right. So this is where I kind of go to real quick. So I pull up a couple podcasts. So where are my podcasts I normally listen to? Here we are, right here. So one of the things that I'll listen to is the DeFi Daily. Kind of goes over real quick, like a 15-minute recap on things, major movements in the market. So a lot of times I'll pull this up, and he has a lot of times just 13, 15, 20 minutes of good information. You can see here that this is a 43-minute, but he does go over a conversation that he had with Binance CEO CZ Zhao, You can see this is actually pretty cool. That he was talking about the whole entire Voyager situation, and he kind of went over. So you have the CEO come on his podcast, talk about a bunch of stuff. So it was really interesting, the whole entire thing that's going on with Voyager, their bankruptcy, and all the other stuff that is going along with it. It's just really interesting. And then the next thing that I'll do is I'll go to YouTube, right? And from YouTube, what I'll do is I like to go to, now, I know we all have different preferences, right? But I do like looking at kind of the mainstream stuff. So I'll go to CNBC, see Crypto World. CNBC. World. And this actually gives me a quick little analogy of just like what's going on with Poly. You can see it that they had a conversation with Polygon, and they bring on some major names on here. So that's also why I like looking at them, because they're a major national news source. So a lot of times you'll get some big institutional people on here talking about what they're going to do. But you can go here, and then what happens is, so actually we'll go to, come on. While this is loading up, I also go to another podcast. So one of the other podcasts that I'll go to is GM from the Crypt. This is actually really good. I like this one as well. They kind of go over some good stuff there as well. And then a couple other things that are good. But I would just say, check these things out. Now that CNBC's pulled up, I'll then come down here to, say Crypto World, like Mad Money with Jim Cramer, and the Crypto World. You go through and watch the latest news that they post. So it's pretty good. Give me 1 second. Excuse me about that. I did not want to sneeze in your guys' ears. So you guys can see here kind of Bitcoin prices much higher and why crypto miners are turning whatever. I didn't really listen to these this weekend just because I was busy with a bunch of other stuff. But it's kind of like what I like going into, right? And they do have some decent stuff on there. I don't really care much about CNBC as a news source in general, but their crypto section is pretty good. So I do like it in that aspect. Yeah, so check them out. Then one of the other things that I do as well, and I'm going to come over here, is I'll first go through checking out Watch a Guru on Twitter. Then from there, again, I'll check out the Decrypt Daily, but they post other stuff that isn't normal. So I like different sites because it gives me different news sources to check out. Then from here, this is Decrypt. Oh, boom, right here. Let's go to this one. CoinDesk. I don't know why this is right here. So then I'll go to CoinDesk. I'm on Twitter as well, giving me different news sources. Then from here, Cointelegraph. I'll check this out right here as well for Cointelegraph. Then after that, I'll switch over to where is this? Some talking heads that do talking about crypto. So Chamath is another guy that I listen to. He brings up crypto. Sometimes he says good stuff, sometimes he doesn't. I'll go through BitBoy's stuff as well. BitBoy stuff for over the weekend, so I can check out to see what's going on with it. And it lets me know just real quick what and where we're going. A lot of times he brings up other interesting things from a just gives me a wide variety of just news sources of what's going on and who's speaking and what to look for. Then from there, I'll go to my daily calendar for the markets, because the markets, you want to be mindful of the the economic calendar, right? So I'll go through and check out the major economic calendar reports that are going to be coming out for the week, for that day, first of all, and then for the next day. Sometimes there may not be something coming out for today. Maybe it might be FOMC, where the market's going to go sideways for 3 or 4 days, prepping for FOMC, right? And that may be a huge run up or a huge sell off based off the news of the report. So it's important to understand that so that you're able to gauge what's going on. Then I'll go into real quick, and this is my morning, just like things that I do. Then I go into little bits about the market, what I'm looking at. So I like looking at the commodities. As you guys know, I trade commodities. So I'll go through and pull up commodity information. So I'll come through here real quick and kind of look over all the markets in general that might be moving the markets, whether it's crude oil, whether it is wheat, right? Because wheat drives the world, as well as pork bellies and what's going on with that, live cattle, and how much hay is going to cost. Those are things that you want to be looking at to kind of forecast which way the market may be moving. You know, and being able to gauge what's going on. And the reason why I say, you're probably asking, well, what's the point of this, all this? I just want to know about crypto, because crypto has been following the traditional markets, especially the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And so the NASDAQ and S&P 500 both follow and are reactionary off of many of these other indicators. So it's important, or these other charts. So it's important to be able to understand, right? Like if gold is selling off, you're wondering why is, you know, the market's going up, or why, you know, if gas is shooting up, right? Crude oil is shooting up in price, well, then that's going to probably put a negative spin on the S&P 500, because that's less money going into the markets, right? So it's the cyclical effect of certain things. So important to understand the full scope of things. And this doesn't happen overnight, but this will sooner or later, as you kind of get the hang of it and you get yourself kind of ankles and elbows deep into the mire of trading, you'll see what I'm saying. It's really interesting. And then your mind just starts to think that way. So it's pretty cool. Let's go and go right into the charts here real quick. I know we've been talking about on Bitcoin. Oh, actually, let's first go over. And this is weird looking. One second. Alright, so this got all messed up. Alrighty, so this is gonna be fun. Alright, so we're gonna pull it up into the S&P 500. Let's go look at that monthly real quick. Monthly is coming up into an area of previous demand, which is now it's kind of selling off to it. Here we go. You can see here's the previous demand. We gapped over it. Now we've come back and tested it. We have the weekly 8 SMA sitting right here, so it's important to be paying attention to that. Let's go ahead and pull that out real quick. And forgive me for this. There we are. So we're going to put this right here for the weekly. Excellent. You guys can see right here what's going on. We also have that 200 period moving average sitting right here now. It's moving up on the weekly. So definitely now we can see a consolidating period right here where we're definitely seeing, like I said, this area right here is an important area. If we fall below here, we're gonna have a pretty dramatic drop next, about 400 or 500 points. So it's really interesting to see what's going on here within the S&P 500. Then let's go ahead and look at the, let's go to move this stuff down here real quick. Boom. So weekly. That's all the way down here. Wow, guys, that weekly chart for the S&P 500 or 8 was all the way up here. Now we saw it come through all the way down here. So it's really fun, actually. And it's going to, actually, I think let's make this blue. There we go. Alrighty. So this is where we're at, and I'm looking for us. We did go down for the morning, and we did not put any seller wicks to come up and touch here. So kind of assume that this is going to probably turn around and continue up here to maybe the next support level area on the weekly, which is, or not support, but excuse me, resistant level here. So it's really interesting to sit here and see where we're sitting. So as you can see here, we also have the moving average sitting right here, and we have that weekly 200 also in this demand zone or the supply zone. So we've got two major SMA sitting right here. So it's going to be really interesting to maybe by the time we come back up to this 4,200, where is this going to, is the 89 going to be turned around? And also in this move, in this resistance slash supply zone seller area. So really interesting to see what's going on. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go into the daily here real quick. Daily, we have that 50 sitting right here. We're definitely bouncing like off the previous resistance here, or support, which is basically we have resistance sitting here. But like I said, we also have this moving average on the daily or on the weekly right above us. So we're definitely going to be playing ping pong here. This is the daily 8 and the 8 on the weekly above us. Most likely the weekly 8 is going to push and become stronger than the daily 8. So we probably will see this turn around again and come back to create more either support or a sell-off. So we'll find out what happens. But we also know that we have a weekly 8 sitting. Or was this the monthly 8? No, monthly 8 is right here. That should be okay. I don't know why that's there. Move this. Sometimes this stuff just decides it wants to do what it wants to do. And just like over here, all my stuff got all messed up, and I don't even know why it got changed up. So go figure out. I'm gonna have to reconfigure that here in a second. Now you can, let's check out that daily. Daily again, like I said earlier, it's definitely ping ponging off of the SMA sitting here, as well as we have the supply zone area right. Well, it's not really much of a supply zone, but it does have some SMA. So we do have some dynamic demand zones and supply zones kicking in right now based off of those. So let's go ahead now and check out the NASDAQ here real quick. Oh, and I also wanted to talk about this a little. So let's talk about the dollar and the strength of the dollar and what's been going on with the dollar. So the dollar is moving up dramatically. It is getting to a point from a fundamental analysis where it becomes too expensive for the rest of the world to buy dollars. It can actually start to really wreak havoc within smaller countries when the dollar goes up extremely high. This is important to understand because as other countries have a hard time producing goods and services to sell to us or even to give us what we need, because a lot of our stuff is made by, let's say, Taiwan or Mexico or El Salvador or maybe an island off of America, where they're based off of, let's say, the peso, right? um, it becomes very difficult for them to do business, right? And so it's going to be really interesting to see uh, how this will affect the crypto markets. It could bring some instability within the markets, and even see the market, like the S&P 500, sell off even more as this continues to move up. Typically, we do see an inverse relationship between the dollar and the S&P 500. Typically, that has been almost a one-to-one, whereas one went up, the other went down. So it's one of those things that, but also in the past, it's diverged and been correlated. So sometimes it's correlated, sometimes it's not. But historically, it typically is inverse of each other. So I found this really interesting. So I've actually marked out some areas here within the dollar that I was looking at to see what is happening with it. Let's go to the monthly real quick and see. So I've marked up certain areas that you guys can see to gauge which way the markets are heading. So we'll go over the stuff if we start to see a huge rally within the dollar, and gauge which way the market will probably move towards during these periods. But I put this up because it's good to know, to be paying attention to, and it's been strong, really, really strong. And like I said, from a fundamental perspective, this could affect global trade and what's going on within just within the economy at large. I do see though that we aren't putting in huge buyer wicks. So and we're talking on the monthly, but I'm not seeing a lot of buying except down in this area here. So as they are continuing at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here, the last 5 months, I don't see a lot of buyer wicks. But if we look at the weekly, similar, you can see that there's really not a lot of wicks in this area. And then on the daily, it's similar. You can see here, like you can see how it rallied up and then came back down, and then rallied up. You can see how it's coming back down. So you can see that it's not putting a lot of support coming in as it's pushing up. So it's going to be interesting to see when it turns around what it's going to look like. Are we going to see a huge sell-off back down to the 98, or are we going to also see it back down at this 97 mark? So it's going to be really interesting. But we're really at this 107 mark here. There's the upper zone right here that we're sitting at. So weekly upper zone. So I would encourage you guys to go check that out. And we'll find out if it's a strong. So I'm pretty positive this is a very strong support. Or not support, but a strong resistance, that when we come and we hit this, it's going to sell off. The supply area is definitely, I think it had a huge sell off. So we'll find out what happens as we move forward. So let's go ahead now and check out the NASDAQ here real quick. NASDAQ is almost identical to the S&P 500. The only difference is you just have different numbers, but it's almost exactly the same. As you can see here, We're kind of going sideways. We hit this A moving average. We're seeing a sell-off. We're also hit the that weekly 8 actually has come down a little bit further here. So yeah, be mindful of this, guys. Again, I see them selling off here, but they didn't put a big seller wick here, so I'm a little concerned with it turning around and moving back up at least to this 20 moving average on the weekly-ish area. You can see that we also have some supply definitely here. So it's a good correlation to be able to play. Okay, let's check out Bitcoin here. BTC dollar. All right, guys. So this is similar to the S&P 500 as well as the NASDAQ. You can see here that the weekly, let's check out monthly real quick. SMA, we hit it like we were talking about last week. We hit that 50 moving average on the monthly. We had a sell off here. And we also had other weekly SMA sitting in the same area. So we definitely had some sell pressure as a sell off at Bitcoin, right? Like we're definitely seeing on this monthly chart, like a good little retracement. Let's check out last week. So we hit that 50 monthly as well as came really close to the 200 on the weekly period moving average. And we also have our 8 sitting right here as well. We did come up into the supply area here on the weekly. Now we're having, like I said, a sell-off on it. We'll see what happens. We did see a gap down on this week's open. Excuse me, gap down. I thought a gap, it looks like it was a gap up into supply here. So many of you guys know that when you have a gap up into supply, you typically do see a sell-off because there's multiple sellers pushing this down. So it's a novice gap. So it's definitely, we'll see how far it goes down here. Let's go ahead and check out our daily. Our daily, we came right up into the area that we talked about, that we marked last week, and then came up, we blew through it. But remember, I am a confirmation trader. So I look for confirmation of my zones actually working. Then from there, I capture the spread. So we can see here that we hit the 50 monthly as well as the 200 on the weekly. So you can definitely see we definitely have some supply here. So how far will this go down? Well, I'm thinking at least to this area here, which is the 18660-ish area. I think we could see some selling pressure step in. But the biggest thing is this is also, look, so we have a sell-off, right? From Sunday to Monday as well. Now, I'm not seeing a lot of seller wicks here as well, right? So this very much could turn around after it comes down into this area and then rally back even higher, right? That's one of those things that it's always mindful to be paying attention to, right? It's just because you have we don't see any major seller wicks. Now we do see seller wicks up in this area here, and they are strong seller wicks, but I'd want to see more here. So we'll find out what happens. But really, the truth is I think we're gonna see maybe a sell-off down to the 1668 mark, or the 16638 mark. Sorry about that, guys. And then from here, we'll find out where support steps in. But be mindful of that. Remember, take your profits if you are trading this, just simply because right now this market is crazy. It's crazy. Here we go. Now let's check out good old Ethereum. So Ethereum, as you guys can see, we have, let's go to the monthly. We have the monthly 20 moving or 50 moving average sitting above us. We did come up. We did also hit, I believe, the weekly 200 period moving average, just to make sure. Yep. So, and then we came up, hit our supply here, and then we saw a sell-off. So this is important to understand. Now, remember, I also show, I think it was on Thursday that I was explaining how the market was getting ready to rally based off of some of the movements from intraday movements. So I gave, I said, look forward to, us rallying up to that 1200 mark to the 1150 area mark. So we definitely did go up there, and we had the sell-off. So I was saying this area typically can become a bit precarious. It's trying to understand if the market's going to continue up, or are we going to. So no worries, Josh. It's all good, my brother. So when I'm looking at that, we definitely are hitting these areas of supply, where we're seeing some sell-off step in. Now, I did put a triangle on the. It was an ascending triangle that I put in, kind of to gauge if we broke above this level right here. I had a upwards line or trend line moving up, and I said if we break this area, wait for a retracement onto this level here, right? Wait, so it broke here, and then wait for the retracement, and then rally up even higher, right, to our area of supply. Also, I was explaining how we also had the 200 period moving average on the weekly. So we hit it, we sold off, then they stopped everybody else out. Then they hit the 400 period moving average, and we saw this sell off even further. So right now, we're coming back into the resistance. I took off the vertical line going up, which was the trend line, and now I'm waiting to see on this line, are we going to find support and continue up, or are we going to actually see it come up into our area of resistance with that 50 and then continue down? It's a quick little thing to be able to watch, but also pointing out that we have a lot of SMAs and crossovers sitting here. So I don't know if we're going to find support on the 8 moving average on the 2 hour, but we are definitely trading off of that 4 hour 8. So if we blow through this area, I can see it's coming back up to that 1213 mark to turn around and go down. I don't see really any of these supply wicks really holding until we get to about, like I said, the 1213 mark. So be mindful of that. Let's go and check out again. Go back down to that weekly chart. We did put in a pretty big sell wick here. We do have sellers stepping in on this level, so be mindful of us coming down, like I said, down to maybe again this area right in here on that weekly. If you got a long-term trade here, I can see it's coming down to the 1085 area, and if we don't stop here, which we probably won't, I see it's probably at least putting a hold a little on the 1037 area. If after that we do not hold, right, then we're coming down to the 1000 mark area again, and if not lower to the 936 to the 829 area here. It'll be really interesting to see what happens this week. Let's go ahead and check out Matic. We do have some weekly zones here. We did hit, sold off a little, we came back. So let's check out monthly. We're not hitting anything here. We're still kind of in la la land here a little on the monthly, going sideways. Since here on the weekly, we had our supply zone right here, busted through, a little sell off. Looks like we might continue up to now this weekly zone that we have sitting right here as well. Be paying attention to this as well, guys. Us moving into this area here, very much could see another sell-off, so make sure you're mindful of that. But again, what I'm looking for is on this for Matic, we definitely are starting to see sellers step in here, especially since the new week you're watching it come down then come back up and put in a pretty decent wick here. So we'll find out what happens here. There we go on the daily. Bouncing off of that 8 moving average, as well as the 50 and the 20. So definitely moving up here. I am looking at this daily here. You could see at least come up to that 61 cent mark, if not come up higher to the 63 cent. From here, we'll find out what happens, right? We're going to put in that higher high here. When this is going to continue, are we going to see this push up? It all depends on also what Bitcoin is doing, but we are seeing a bit of a divergence here, just a little off of Bitcoin. And then let's go ahead and check out one last one quick. Make sure. I think that's about it. Yeah, I just want to give you guys a quick little analysis real quick of the markets. We've hit certain junction points within our trades. So being mindful of where we're sitting in the market, right? And guys, I hope you guys have a blessed day. Thanks for coming in and joining. And I just want to do a quick little recap of it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Me and Ralph will probably go over some news in detail and talk about some more fundamentals and go over some charts again. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to try to bring in my coach, see if he's willing to come back in and go over charts, our view on the markets and which way crypto is going to be moving. He's more of a commodities trader, but a chart is a chart. They move the same way. It doesn't matter which way or what chart it is. It's all in motion. So when you learn it, you learn it. In addition to that, we'll also bring Brinks on again, probably on Thursday, to talk about some of the jewels he's looking at, some of the stuff he's vetting that he's also posting and on the Vetter platform. So yeah, guys, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. And until then, be safe and stay green.